Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're looking at love and relationships and everything else between. And our relationship coach, Dr. Denise Charles, joins us. Dr. Charles, good morning.
Good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I'm well. I concur with my technical director. You look really lovely today, indeed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, we want to look at something that, that a conversation ensued after our last segment within us here. We all were talking. We said, sometimes there's these odd couples that you see. She's short, he's tall, he's fat, those kinds of things. And you wonder yourself, what do they see in each other? And there's in our heads, there's a bit of a mixed match, there's something quite right. What do you say about that situation? Is it that we're being unfair and judgmental?
Yes, you are. My husband is a whole foot taller than I am, The thing is, Pearson, this whole issue of compatibility can be a very subjective thing. And as you rightly said, or you rightly asked, it can be very judgmental because for those of us looking on the outside, we can assume these two aren't well suited. She's a professional, he's not. She's highly educated, he's not. He makes lots of money, she doesn't. He's come from a really good family, she does not. And we can make those kinds of subjective comparisons between two individuals who might be very well suited. And not only is that sometimes made as an external judgment, unfortunately, sometimes people who do find that chemistry with someone else, sometimes they make that unfair judgment on the relationship themselves. And they're concerned about what other people are going to think, what their family is going to think, what their friends or their work colleagues are going to think about this person they have chosen or that this person that they're showing an interest in. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be compatible, but I'm saying we have to be careful what we're looking at to measure compatibility. Compatibility for me shouldn't be something about age, although I think there's a limit. That's my personal take on it. It shouldn't be about external peripheral things like that, what he looks like, what she looks like. I think when it comes to compatibility, we have to go way deeper. We have to look at things like values. We have to look at things like our beliefs. We have to look at things like our lifestyle or the type of lifestyles we want to have, those kinds of things. Something as basic as whether we will want children together. I think we have to look at these types of things when we look at compatibility in terms of two people building a life together. And at the same time, Pearson, I think that opposites also attract. There's nothing wrong with being completely different from the person that you're in love with.
Nothing wrong, except that when you hit the street, people are going to be talking. you got to live with that.
But
you have to live with that.
We shouldn't be living our lives for people.
Okay.
We have to be secure in ourselves and know what we want for our relationship. Now, I'm not saying that if you're in a family and you're close with your family, you're close with your parents and so on, you want to know that the person you have chosen is someone that they would approve of. Okay,
Yes.
I mean, humanly speaking, we want the approval of our close friends. We want the approval more so of our family, of our parents. We want to know that they like the person that we also like. But sometimes that may not happen for whatever reason. Sometimes parents have their prejudices. Think about it. You want to be an artist, but your mother wants you to be a doctor.
Yes.
You want to be a therapist, but your parents would prefer that you be a lawyer. Because we attach a certain level of prestige to certain occupations.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, people want to feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. They want to feel connected with their purpose. They want to feel that they're not just doing a job, but they're actually doing the thing that they were created for. Now, I look at relationships very much like that. And, personally, I like to pivot to my story. When you read my story, you're going to recognize that Gabriel and I are so thankful that God plucked him out of St. Lucia, because he's from St. Lucia, and brought us together in Barbados. And we are so thankful that we believe God actually brought us together. We don't believe that we were together by mistake. So I'm saying when you have that sense in terms of your relationship of being purposeful, sometimes we don't think, a lot of people talk about life purpose and they only connect it to their job. They only connect it to the thing that they do, that they get up and go to, the job they get up and go to, or the thing that they're in as an entrepreneur. People don't connect purpose to relationships, but we do. We believe very strongly in finding the right person that you were intended for. Now, I know this is a debate. Not everybody believes in the one, in the concept of the one. Some people believe there may be several ones. There may be others that you could have gotten married to, and there were other people I may have been able to get married to if I had gone in that
Yes.
direction. But I think there is something called purpose. And I think when you're really connected to God and that sense of finding who you are and who you're meant to be, that for a very large part, the partner you choose will be a part of that.
Y-
So
You know,
while we do understand that there should be lots that you share in common, there's nothing wrong also with being different from the person that you found yourself in love with.
sometimes we ask ourselves, well, I'm sorry, I have to come back to the physical because we spend a lot of time in the physical space. And you look at someone and they're thinking, but there's a deformity, can't you see? Can't you see that deformity? How are you going to deal with it? What would the children be like? Knowing what it is that you're confronting. What if that trait triggers right through the children to come? And you ask, how could you put up with each other? I know it's being judgmental, but it's the reality. It's what people do and go through minute by minute. So what advice would you give to that person who's struggling with words being told in their ears, he's not for you, she's not for you because of this deformity of some sort? How do you manage yourself in all of that?
I think you have to look inward and decide what you want for yourself, number one. Now, if there is a huge challenge, like a physical illness or a deformity, as you're putting it, remember deformities could also be emotional and unseen,
Yes, yes.
right? If you're going to take it to the full extent. But if there's something that is troubling you, really troubling you as the person in the relationship, you have to make that decision as to whether your love is big enough to overcome that. And you're talking about deformity, Pearson, but what about issues like race? Because we know that people still struggle with race. As much as we would like to believe that it is something that is finished with, it is really not. And people make judgments about if they see a black man and a white woman or vice versa. They begin to think, are they well suited? What about the family? What about the children? How will they manage, etc.? And we have to be realistic about these things, yes. But at the same time, when you are in that relationship, you have to make a decision about what you really want. And if you think that your love is big enough to surmount all the challenges that you're going to come up against, all the questions that you will be asked, then go for it. Because at the end of the day, you're not living your life for someone else. You're living your life for yourself. And as I said, that sense of purpose in your relationship and why you're together has to be paramount in your mind. There's a reason why the two of you are coming together. And even though you may be thinking, or others may put at you the idea that the children will suffer and so on and so forth, think about the value that those children will learn when they see your unconditional love, when they understand that, well, mommy and daddy, in spite of these challenges, in spite of the differences between the two of them, they came together and they have such a sure foundation in their love, and their love has made a difference. They may not articulate it like that, but it's a wonderful value that you're teaching your children about the power of love and the power of love to overcome all odds and all differences. I think that's greater than any difference that you could find between two people.
And you're right. I'm not going to dispute that at all. You're quite right on that score. Fine. We're in a relationship. It might appear at the beginning you get the I told you so, because eventually something happens, whether it is that there's a change in status owing to finances or any other thing, whether it's other circumstances. How do you live with yourself knowing I told you so? I told you so.
The thing is, Pearson, anything can happen to anybody. If you follow the lifestyles of any of those rich and famous people, who both of them are very wealthy, both of them are very famous, don't they get divorced a million times?
Yes.
So really and truly, bad things can happen to anyone in any relationship, but sometimes it has nothing to do with that thing called compatibility or incompatibility. Sometimes it just has to do with the maturity levels of the people. It has to do with whether people are willing to sacrifice for love, whether people are, living their lives with integrity and honesty in that relationship. So the challenges that happen to relationships happen to anyone. And I think we need to understand that and not judge that two people have fallen apart because they were seemingly incompatible. I feel very, very strongly about this. And I think that individuals who are in relationships have to make that judgment call for themselves. I think they have to make that judgment. We who are looking on from the outside, if we do love them and they are a part of our family or they are our friends, we owe it to them to support them in their decision, even if we didn't like that decision. And invariably, even though there is that story of "I told you so," Pearson, there may also be that story of, "See, look, we beat the odds.
Yes,
You thought we
yes.
weren't going to last, but we've been together for 25 years. We've been together for 20 or 10 years. We beat the odds. So there, told you so."
There's also that story indeed. But sometimes the
That's
heart is
right.
not so smart. The heart cannot be always smart. Sometimes the heart only sees and feels what it wants to feel
The heart
at
wants
that
what
moment.
it wants.
Yes, at that moment.
Yeah.
Because it felt good. But the reality is, at some point, you got to wake up. You have to wake up because when you turn and you realize, wait, who's this next to me after all? It's not quite what I had dreamt or seen in my imagination at all.
That's a different conversation, Pearson.
Yes,
That's a
I
different
know.
conversation.
So you don't.
Because love, as we said in one of our previous conversations, love always wants what is best for the other person. And sometimes you want to be with someone for all the wrong reasons. You want to be with someone because they have status. You want to be with someone because they have money. Because you have insecurity issues. You don't feel very strongly or good about yourself. So you need to have someone to bolster how you feel about yourself. You want an image. You want an Instagram life. You're not
Yes.
necessarily in it for the long haul. You're in it. You're making the decision. You're making your relationship decisions for all the wrong reasons. And invariably, if you have made your relationship decisions for the wrong reasons, you're going to fall apart at some point. At some point, that fairy tale is going to explode,
Yep.
and you're going to find yourself in a different space. So I think when that happens and you wake up one morning and say, "Wait, what's going on here?" Then you have to look within yourself and examine why you were in that relationship in the first place. Are you really going to be honest with yourself? But when love is the motivating factor, and I'm not talking about infatuation, I'm not talking about lust, I'm not talking about obsession, I'm talking about real love. When love is motivating that relationship, then Pearson, that is going to empower you to go through hell and high water to be with that person
Indeed so.
and to make it work.
Indeed so. When is the next live?
I think we're going to do a live next week.
Okay.
I am really, really busy this week after hours, so I'm going to be doing another live next week,
right.
probably next week, Thursday.
Keep
But
me
I'll keep you
posted.
posted.
Keep me posted indeed. Dr. Denise Charles, thank you so very much as always, our relationship coach, joining us this morning. And sometimes,
Thank you,
yes, the heart is
Pearson.
not so smart, but if you have that true love, you can work through hell and high water to get that love working indeed. Thank you so much indeed.
Have a great day.
Likewise.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning.